Simandou is a technical and technological beast, and there is no way to be shy away from admitting that. First-class grade of ore, located more than 1,500 meters high, 700 kilometers, very large port to sustain that. It is a massive technological and technical challenges that needs to be overcome. So, taking into account the key roles that, in particular, the winning consortium has played or is expected to play together with the other industrial partners in the constructions, I'd like to start maybe with Dr. Xiaoyi to tell us a little bit about the technical challenges and technical expectations that was also set to you by the state, the Republic of Guinea, and the other industrial partners to pull out a project of this scale, meeting the top environmental standards in a time frame that is compatible with the market and the political expectations.
Thank you, Asani. As you point out, Simandou is a project like no other due to its scale and magnitude. Let me share with you again some numbers. Over 600 kilometers railroad spanning from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the mountain interior. 28 kilometers of tunnels, including the Kindia Tunnel, which is the longest tunnel in West Africa with 11 kilometers. 206 bridges covering over 79 kilometers and 12 railway stations. So this is truly a gigantic project and once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for all of us. So we are truly honored to be able to work hand in hand with the government of Guinea and our partners on this. So to us, one of the main technical challenges we faced was managing logistics, both logistics and marine. Operating in remote places require efficient logistic lines. Sometimes we need to set up temporary roads and infrastructure to avoid delay and also to be able to move materials and equipment to remote areas. So we also need to coordinate the transport of equipment and materials across the ocean. This added another level of complexity. To mitigate these challenges, I think we are lucky because we have been here for almost 10 years. We started the SMB project, so we were able to leverage the experience gained from building the 125 kilometers Dapino Central Railway from 2019 to 2029. We were able to complete that on schedule despite the challenge posed by the COVID pandemic. So I think this allowed us to experiment and to develop some innovative logistics model and to bring it to the Simandou project. So one of the things I think I would like to note here is our bidirectional logistics system, which transport bauxite from Guinea to China and return with equipment and materials, which has proven highly efficient and cost-effective. So this operational model, the innovation and the adaptation allow us to proceed swiftly and economically. So in addition, as I said, it's very important for us to build a temporary living basis. So 33 out of 51 plans are already in place now. Yes, so I think this is very important for the action-oriented proactive approach. While we take action and we quickly try to solve problems, trying to capitalize on our experience as well as our partners and also the local suppliers. So I think our partners with local contractors also help us tackle that challenge over time. So in summary, I think this solution to both the inland and marine logistics and being able to integrate them, I think have been extremely helpful in helping us addressing the technical challenge over time. Speed is crucial, and we take actions fast, make sure things happen, no matter what. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Sharwi. That's a lot on your plate to have to achieve all together. Congratulations again. Moving from the newest member of the club, Simandou, to the oldest member of the club, Simandou, I have in mind Gerard from Rio Tinto. Obviously, Rio Tinto has been involved in Simandou for quite some time, and you have a very good history of the development, the quality of the ore, and where we are here. I'd like to have your perspective as well to supplement what Bao was saying about how beautiful and how extraordinary things can be made with the grade of Simandou from the discovery to where we are today and looking into the future.
Thanks very much, Alassane, for the question, and thanks to the Strategic Committee for making this event possible. I think we do need to look at the quality of the Simandou ore. So around the world, Simandou represents the last undeveloped high-grade primary iron ore deposit. So we have billions of tonnes of plus 65% material. And in context, the material exported from Australia, for example, now averages less than 62%, and sits around 61%. So what this means is that the Simandou ore competes with only one product globally, and that's a product from Brazil, produced by Vale. As the world decarbonises, the only way that is going to happen for the steel sector is through ore of Simandou's quality. So today, the global steel sector produces 8% of the world's CO2 emissions, and if the world is to decarbonise, that has to reduce, and Simandou is a critical part of that process. And so for Rio Tinto, this is a critical point. I know that there have been many comments made about our commitment to this project, but let me assure you, this product complements what we produce today from Australia and elsewhere. This gives us the high-grade product that we need to sell into the market to help our product portfolio diversity and to help the world decarbonise.
Thank you very much, Gerard. So we've had the perspective from the logistic and transportation side. We heard the perspective from the off-taker and the mine developer side. Now, Simandou also has a unique challenge to it, which is the number of key players and the large number of industrial partners together with the Republic of Guinea, which means 5 strategic players whose interests have to be aligned and coordinated and work together toward the same goal. It's been said early on the stage that it is never a difficult exercise to rally people and to rally different interests. So I'd like now to move on to Chanalco, to Mr. Ling Chuan, of course, you're part of a Simfer consortium together with Rio Tinto, so of course you've been involved in that. But I want to understand from your perspective, what has been really the key driver for a successful collaborations across a wide variety of players with diverging way of getting to the same goals, because everybody know that everybody needed to get to the same goals.
Thank you. I think that's a good question, and as all the leaders mentioned, Simandou is the largest iron ore project in the world, and one of the most largest mining projects in history. So, in my opinion, this project cannot be developed by only one company. Without all these stakeholders' participation, including Baowu, WCS, Rio Tinto, and Chinalco, and the CTG, this project cannot be developed. So that's why Sinfer and Chinalco and Rio Tinto and all the shareholders cherish our partnership so much. Each party contributes its own expertise and its resources. And to answer your question, Sinfer have a regular meeting communication mechanism with all other partners. I believe right now, even right now, Sinfer's team and Chinalco's team, they are having meetings with other companies just right now. We are trying to figure out and find the solutions to all the issues quickly and promptly. So, and in terms of the advantage and challenge of this approach, which is kind of different from other traditional mining projects. The traditional mining projects typically are led by a controlling shareholder.
Absolutely.
As we know, however, for a project as large as Simandou, the involvement of multiple parties provides tons of advantage. As we know, Rio Tinto is one of the world's largest iron ore suppliers. Baowu is the largest steel company in the world, and WCS has unique advantage in logistics. Chinalco is a world-class metal mining company with comprehensive ability. Together with the government, we have formed CTG. All the involvement of these partners is crucial for the smooth development of the project. Of course, the biggest challenge for us is still we should find out how to addressing and solving different viewpoints, which require the mutual respect for each other's position. From the progress of the project, I believe everyone would agree so far our collaboration is very successful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lin Xuan. You rightly say that each of the industrial partner and the state really has that unique value added that they bring at the core to the table, and how important and critical it was to be able to collaborate together and successfully manage and find compromise solutions to bridge the middle ground. It's been also said earlier, and I will piggyback on that Simandou is the bridge to prosperity. That's the sign that we have behind us, which means that it is also the manifestation of a political will, a very strong political will, a successful political will. And I'd like now to turn to the Chairman, Ministry of Mine, to give us a bit of perspective on not so much what has been done in the past, because that has been presented before, where we are today and what are the key next challenges which reflect really the political will to get Simandou to going to the next levels. this is just to set the scene before we get into more details about specific topics. So over to you, His Excellency.
Alors, ok. Merci. Et d'abord, merci aux partenaires industriels ici présents pour leur engagement dans la réalisation de cet unique projet.
Thank you. And first of all, thank you to the industrial partners here for their commitment in the implementation of this unique project. Many people in the room certainly wonder, why is it a birthday, whereas the project has not been completed? This birthday is because the project has become irreversible. To achieve this level of realization, transform the dream into reality, it is not magic. It took a man with a vision and a noble ambition for his country. It is the case of the President of the Republic, the General of the Army Corps, Mamadi Doumbouya, who, thanks to his leadership, put these 4 international companies around me together to say, in order for the Guinea to find its way, you have to mutualize your efforts, your investments, which will allow for a viable project, but also profitable for the people of Guinea. Birthdays, yes, because it is a 2-year journey. It is a long journey. It is like a wedding. When we do a wedding, we celebrate the birthdays every year. The start point began with the signing of the 25th of March, which materialized and imposed a development code on the industrial partners. Without this development code, Simandou would continue to be a dream or even a nightmare. And the other major innovation of the President of the Republic has been the burden of our administrations, that we know. He has put all the key actors of the state, all the key departments and administrations involved in the implementation of the project to a committee called the Strategic Committee of Project Simandou, led by the Cabinet Director of the President. And the Strategic Committee of Project Simandou has been working on it since the first days, and it has led this project towards the signing of the Statute of the City of Guinea on 27 July 2022. It is the personal place to thank the President of the Republic for naming me on 27 July 2022 as the President of the TransGuinéen Administration Council, which was one of the major acquisitions of the Accord.
Et qui a amené ce projet vers la signature des statuts de la CTG de la Compagnie du TransGuinéen le 27 juillet 2022. C'est le lieu à titre personnel de remercier le Président de la République de m'avoir nommé à ce jour 27 juillet 2022, comme Président du Conseil d'administration de la Compagnie du TransGuinéen, qui est un des acquis majeurs de l'accord cadre du co-développement signé le 25 mars 2022. Ensuite, pour aller vers les intérêts stratégiques de l'État, il a fallu que l'État décline.
The transformation. There is a series. There are studies of feasibility of the series that will be developed 2 years after the entry in the course of the development of the Co-Development Convention. It will be a series of 500,000 tons or 2 million tons of pellets, content of the wealth rather than the owner of the Simandou mine. The Guinea state today is trying to position itself clearly in the new niches that are called the DRI, the direct producers, who have a greater added value than the Simandou mine today, and here is a little presentation of the principles acquired. But in the most fundamental, because when we talk about mining projects, we're talking about I have the Minister of Budget in face of the Minister of Finance. How much the Guinea state receives in all this? I reassure my homologues who are members of the Strategic Committee. I do not reassure them because they have informed that in relation to the previous convention, there is a gain of more than 20% that the Guinea state has obtained in the case of this project. How? By giving revenues, the certainty of revenues, that is to say, we have 200 certain revenues on royalties, that is to say, on the mining tower to be exported. The diversity of revenues, but also the previsibility of these revenues, which guarantees the first day of operation. The first day of the operation of the railway and mines of revenues tangible for the Guinea state to finance its development. And where is the subsidiary of the OCDE that replaces the fiscal fund that was previously owned by the partner by 15% of the minimum forfeiture of the OCDE, the second subsidiary? That is to say, what is it? If the Guinea state does not capture these 15% will be paid in the countries where these companies are established. So we invested the curve. These 15% of taxes on companies will be paid in the Guinea state. It is a major innovation that has never existed in our country. I do not even think in our region. If there is a mining convention that has been able to bring also important innovations, one of the most important things on which I am personally proud to have had a small life as a teacher in the past is that the President took the example of some African countries with natural resources. We said to them, we have to invest on future generations. We created accounts. We put money. A few years later, we created troubles, to be able to use the money for other purposes, the President said.
Donner des opportunités dans des affaires aux entreprises guinéennes, mais également faire le transfert de compétences et la formation. Aujourd'hui, il y a plus d'$1 milliard injectés, irrigués dans le tissu économique local dans le cadre des contrats alloués aux entreprises à capitaux guinéens détenus par des Guinéens, mais également aux entreprises de droit guinéen, pour avoir l'impact de ce projet dans notre tissu économique. Ce n'est pas qu'un projet minier, parce qu'il y a le volet...
This is French too. But also, the state has been able to guarantee, beyond the presence of the Board of Administrations, that the Director General's position will join the TransGuinéen company. And in terms of the financial director's position, without counting all the other actors. The Co-Development Convention was then signed on August 10, 2023, which has materialized a multi-useful agreement and multi-usages of the TransGuinéen company, so that this way of doing does not only transport the money to do, but it also transports the passengers and the merchandise. The companies that are in charge of carrying out this project, the Guinean state, has also secured a participation of 15%. This participation of 15% is included in the construction phase and in the exploitation phase to allow the state to ensure the protection of its strategic interests during the implementation of this project, but also during its exploitation. Another important asset of this project for the state is the arrival of BAO, which was one of the project's key investors, whose investment has been approved by the National Reform and Development Commission that brought us to the closure of the documents of the project's fundamentals on 22nd December 2023, but also on the 2nd of April 2024 of this year, which brought us to the closure of the financing following an administration council held on July 16, 2017. The financing has arrived in the project's company with a date of $2.4 billion injected into the implementation of this project. Excuse me for being a bit long, because they are so extraordinary advances. I take the question of local content, which is defined in 3 axes. Everyone has seen it here, giving work to the Guinean, giving opportunities for businesses to the Guinean companies, but also giving the transfer of skills and training. Today, there are more than $1 billion injected, which is irrigated in the local economic market, in the case of contracts for businesses to the Guinean capital, not only for the Guinean, but also for the Guinean businesses, to have the impact of this project on our economic market. It is not just a mini project, because there was a lot of irrigation, as some would say, the water of Rue Selmont. Regarding the reserve of fields, how to have an impact on the financing of the country. There is a good part of the revenue of the Guinean Transfer Company, especially the advantages of the availability that the mines pay to the CTG, but also the Exploitation Commission are deposited in the banks of the Guinean. Gradually, there are closures to you for the next 5 years, where we meet with the partners to evaluate, so that on the part of the Guinean,
d'impôts sur les sociétés seront payés en territoire guinéen. C'est une innovation majeure qui n'a jamais existé dans notre pays, je ne pense même pas dans notre sous-région, s'il y a une convention minière qui a pu apporter des innovations aussi importantes. L'une des choses les plus importantes sur lesquelles moi je suis personnellement fier, pour avoir eu une petite vie d'enseignant dans le passé, c'est que le président, il a pris l'exemple de certains pays africains dotés de ressources naturelles. On leur a dit qu'il faut investir sur les générations futures. On a créé des comptes.
Investment in future generations is investment in human capital. Human capital is who is future generation of the future, of the future, of the future, of the future, of the future. To prevent children from going to the Mediterranean, to Europe, to find a better future, they will have a dream. So my country is giving me a chance. I do something with it. 20% of tax collected by the state in the context of the TransGuinéen company will be given to the children or the best teachers of each of the prefectures of the Guinean. Of the 33 prefectures of the Guinean for only the scientific fields, because development is done by science, medicine schools, engineers, and professional technical training. He did not stop there. In order to be the best, he must also invest in the local educational system. He has allocated 5% of the revenues of each of the thousands to finance, to be improved, given each year for 35 years, the educational system of the Guinean. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ministry. I'd like you to expand a little bit on how difficult or challenging it was to move from the success that you have in the bauxite sphere, especially on the logistics side, to transport that for the development of a world-class project of a complexity and the size of Simandou. And what are the lessons learned? Because I'm sure there have been many.
10 years in Guinea is a masterclass. Yes. We surely learned a lot. The key lesson we learned is that Guinea is a land full of potential and opportunities. As long as you believe in it, and as long as you take right actions, you will be able to make impossible possible and to make possible reality. In less than 5 years, as you pointed out, Guinea has become one of the world's leading bauxite producers. Simandou is not just a game changer for the industrial partners. It will definitely elevate Guinea's position in the global mining stage. The other lesson we learned is that there's no logistical challenge that is too big to overcome. I will not repeat myself regarding the infrastructure I already mentioned earlier. Let me just add that when you find the right combination of industrial partners and the governmental leadership, you will be able to achieve any large-scale project. Winning started as a shipping company. We have lots of ships. We have 52 Cape-sized ships. However, we think the biggest and most important ship is partnership. I think in the Simandou project, this is what we learn through our experience and practice and partnership. This is the ship that is going to carry us through stormy waters, across the sea, up and down. And this is something we are really proud of, which not only enables us to succeed in the Simandou project, but helps us to help inspire Africa and creating a future for the country. And if you allow me to make one last point, I think perhaps one of the most profound lessons we've learned is the importance of investing in people. Like Minister Saila also mentioned earlier. Through training programs, scholarships, and knowledge-sharing initiatives, we hope to transfer knowledge and management skills to empower our employees, the Guinean people, so that they can become leaders in their own right. We envision a future where the Guinean professionals, they are not just working in mines, but managing them, and also they are going to developing them and shaping the policies that will govern the mining companies and other companies as well. And this investment in human capital will be the true legacy of Simandou, one that will extend far beyond the life of the mine itself. I think these are the lessons we learned among others, and we are ready and fully committed to embark on this journey together with our partners in one of the best ships in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sophie. We can almost summarize by saying together, nothing is impossible. Thank you very much. I'd like to turn to Gerard at Simfer, Rio Tinto. Naturally, the project was initially a Rio Tinto Simfer project, and of course you fully embraced the co-development to a successful point where we are today. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that adapting to the co-development have required your company's approach to the project and your company's approach to more globally the iron ore business in order to be where we are today and celebrating the successes that we are celebrating? Because I'm pretty sure that it has required adjustment and changes to your policies, to your way of doing things, and to your plans.
Developing greenfield projects in any commodity, in any place around the world is hard. And Simandou is as hard as any, simply because it's so far from where the deposit is to where the market is. And the logistics chain required to transport the ore is very, very expensive to build. And without the co-development approach, this thing couldn't have happened. In mining, as opposed to oil and gas, it is rare. In fact, I can't think of another example, certainly of this scale. There is no other example where we have a shared cost infrastructure system. Doesn't exist. It hasn't happened anywhere else. Everybody that's been involved in the last 2.5 years has had to compromise. This outcome is a series of compromises by all partners under some strategic objectives or working within the framework of strategic objectives set by the state. And look, I think where we've landed is an exceptional example of compromise and cooperation. All of us have had to move our position at different points in time. And that's what a negotiation is. We started a very long way apart. In fact, I used to say to Minister Jeeber at different times, we were that far apart, now we're this far apart, and now we're actually together. So look, I think it is unique. And the lessons for Rio in this are that there is the potential to take this model elsewhere. It's the underlying value of the resource that makes it possible and makes it desirable. And what each partner has brought is something different to the table. So we have speed and agility and execution expertise from WCS. We have financial and steel industry expertise from Baowu. We have our long-term partner in Chinalco also bringing financial and other expertise. And we have Rio driving to the international standards under which we develop all of our projects. And so you take all of those different pieces, and together we've set up the foundation for a fantastic and successful business in CTG.
But I'd like to hear a little bit more from Mr. Lin Xuan in how do you actually balance those two interests? Because naturally, they're not always aligned. And how do you cope with those challenges of public and private interest that you need to reconcile on a daily basis on the governance when you're sitting at the board and having to make those difficult decisions?
Thank you. I think the investors in these projects, we are all world-class companies or Fortune 500 companies. So at the first place, we do pay high attention to ESG issues. In particularly, we pay attention to what we can bring, what we can do for the local people and the local communities. So I think when the government, when selecting partners, the Guinean government has already took into account whether these investors would pay attention to public interest, which was a very good start. The government and also the companies have very good partners. And I have some numbers my team just sent to me. Nearly 40,000 Guineans are involved in the construction of CDG, which will create no less than 5,000 jobs and generates more than 1 billion a year in taxes and dividends for the country during its 28 years of cooperation. And as a Chinese saying, big rivers have water, so the small rivers are full. Our efforts to run CTG well and consistently generate profits are a process that continue to benefit the Guinean government and the Guinean people. That's the number. And in terms of the decision making, as you know, all the parties, all the companies and the Guinean government have seats on the CDG board. As Ms. Wu, she just mentioned, the important decisions have to be made by the board. So, and also the management team is also appointed by the respective parties. I think that the board will make decision and will naturally consider the balance between public and private interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Lin Chuan. Finishing up on the most challenging, I would say, bit of questions is now I'm going to turn to the chairman and Minister of Mine. A lot has been said and a lot has been achieved in Simandou. A lot has been written about it. Yet there are sometimes interrogations as to whether it could have been better, because that's just the nature of human being. Enough is never enough. Could it have been better? For example, the deep sea, having a deep sea port, of course, is an important aspect that has always been for the project, for the development of Simandou Project and other, and the role that it plays more generally into the full development of the area. So I'd like to hear a little bit from your perspective on what you can see or can say about what could have been better at different time, or what is your perspective on some of those core drivers?
Je pense aujourd'hui, nous faisons face, c'est pas seulement le succès qu'il faut.
I think today we face not only the success that must be celebrated, but the great challenges that are present in us. I think it is in the committee's speech where he said that we have learned from our mistakes to get there. If we had put all the development of the country on the back of this project, it would never have happened. All our expectations, all our aspirations, all our dreams, we had to make strategic choices. What are these choices? This is a project that took place in 2 phases. 120 million tons will go to 160 million tons. For the first phase, we prefer to have major acquisitions, to have a double route that is unique in Africa, in our region in any case, to my knowledge. This way of doing will transport passengers and goods, one passenger train per day from Bila to Murubaya Port and Murubaya Port to Bila, crossing the 4 natural regions. Development is connectivity. 3 freight trains per week have been subventioned through the Ramsey Principle that we were able to obtain and negotiate in the Co-Development Convention with extremely transparent tariff principles. The first phase of this project will be exported to Murubaya Port. In the second phase, we will go to a deep port. Since the Co-Development Convention's entry into the port, 2 years after its entry into the port, industrial partners must submit a feasibility study for the implementation of this deep port that will allow to export 160 million or 200 or more miners from Guinea. Because the port of Murubaya, beyond 120 million tons, cannot be exported to another area, so we prefer to carry out a project per phase, economically sensible and financially profitable. I think this was extremely important to bring this clarification. It is a strategic choice for this project to be carried out. Everyone remembers that the initial cost of this project was 20 billion. With 20 billion, it would be difficult to raise all the necessary funding. We preferred to privilege this first project per phase, 120 million, 160 million or more. But also, with this way of doing it twice, it allows to accommodate the other users. But also, with this way of doing it twice, it allows to accommodate the other many users who are on the corridor line. There are others who are trapped in the back of the country. I'm talking about the project of Mont Nimba Lola, the project of Zogoto Aziri Korea, but also the boxes of Dabola Toad, a whole set of projects, the Ministry of Railways and Farana Belzone. So it allows to unblock all these projects that have been frozen for many years in order to reduce the availability of the infrastructure. Also, today the project has 37,000 employees, effectively employed in the context of this project. It is important to remember that these employees are created to be able to transform the development of this project. But the challenges are the operations of this project, because there will be a project, as Gerard Greenfield said, a new project that will release 100 million years of income in the first 3 years. So in the final construction of 2025, it is tomorrow. It is one of the reasons for which to anticipate the challenges we will face tomorrow. And in the request of the Strategic Committee and its President, the second session of the Atelier of Operationalization and the Operations of the CITJ will be held on the 31st after tomorrow, to continue to work with the industrial partners to ensure that the day comes when the train will take off, that everyone is ready, and everyone will look towards the future, radiant of this wonderful country, which is the Republic of Guinea, which becomes a global actor of the mining industry, not only of the British mining industry, but also of the transformation of mining into more added value, according to the vision of the head of state, the President of the Republic, so that this country, instead of other countries, which we succeeded in the countries of the Middle East, we were at the same level in the 1960s. These are rich countries in oil. Other countries in Africa are rich in oil, but when we compare them, we think there is a malediction of natural resources. The President has tried to end this paradigm, to make the Republic of Guinea a success story of natural resources. Thank you.
Le président a essayé de mettre fin à ce paradigme pour faire de la Guinée un success story des ressources naturelles. Je vous remercie.
Mais nous voulons dire merci aux honorables panélistes qui ont accepté de se prêter surtout aux différentes questions qui ont été posées. Je vais vous inviter à vous tenir debout, à avancer juste un peu devant et on va faire une photo de famille ensemble pendant que vous allez vous retirer. Merci. Thank you.